Ooh, this guy would make me look a hell of a lot more scholarly. Hell yeah, now I look like I know what I'm talking about. That's, that guy with a Hearthstone card, right? How's it going, guys? My name is Dyalla and hold on. I need to sound like a cartoon so that I can get featured in the World of Warcraft stuff. What's up, guys? How's it going? My name is Dyalla and oh god, I sound like a fucking cartoon. And in today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at Slice and Dice and possibility for a legendary to make Slice and Dice actually viable. There's a lot of legendaries have been added for rogues in general, so today we'll be taking a look at Slice and Dice to try to make it viable for PvE. God, please just smite me where I stand. Antonitis, smite me where I stand. I sound like a fucking dweeb. Anyway, today we're going to be taking a look at the legendary that I got today, and it is the Soul of the Shadow Blade. Now, I know legendaries are RNG, so this video might not apply to everybody, but in case you guys decide to check out Slice and Dice and you're thinking that this legendary might make it a lot more viable since it grants you Vigor, on top of being able to use other talents, I feel like, well, with this legendary, it might make it worth it. So, that's the theory behind it. Maybe with Slice and Dice, you'll have a lot of energy regen, you have a lot more common points that you can spend, a lot more damage going out. This legendary could possibly prove to make Slice and Dice worth the while. Now, there's a lot of stipulations when it comes to Slice and Dice and what can make the legendary what legendaries can make the ability viable or not. But what the fuck did I put my fucking bracers? Hello? But the idea behind it is to be able to play with a predictable roll the bones buff, so you're able to utilize all the things Outlaw Rogues can do. You're able to utilize the artifact weapon for loaded dice. It just looks like there might be a capability for something amazing. So then you might have a predictable experience, at least within the PvE aspects. Now I feel like this whole video could use a PvP side of its own as well, and I will talk a little bit about why I don't think Slice and Dice is viable for PvP in my other videos, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. God, am I selling hard enough? Should I sell out harder? I'm not sure how I should do this video. I don't sound like a fucking clown on a regular, so this is new for me. Before you're about to go out into a nightclub or to a party, you want to figure out what to wear. So that's what we're going to try to figure out in this video. First of all, how do we suit ourselves up to make Slice and Dice work? What legendaries should we run instead of the ones we would normally run for Outlaw Rogue in order to, I guess, accommodate the Slice and Dice lifestyle? And how should we gear ourselves and spec ourselves appropriately for it? Now we're taking a look at the legendaries. You have your shoulders, which are amazing, allowing your vanish to become a bursty cooldown on a fairly short cooldown, and with the capability to reduce the cooldown of your vanish, you can use it a hell of a lot more often. And with this build in particular, I feel like with bracers, this kind of almost enforces the idea that you might as well go roll the bones, because this way you're able to get your cooldown reduction with your bearing a lot more often, being able to get your stuns off a lot more often into your pistol shots or your blunderbuss procs. So I think we're going to ditch our bracers, which are actually a very cool legendary. I got to play around with it, and I'm so glad I got to play around with it because I feel like it just simply evolves my playstyle. One thing we are going to do is change out one of our rings, and we have the Mastery Versatility one, and then we also have the Crit Haste one. Since this one doesn't pack any versatility, we're going to swap for Crit Haste and Mastery, and that'll be our legendary. So now that we got ourselves situated, we are at item level 911. 911, why? It's a fucking... Please do not make memes on 9/11. I swear to God. I swear to fucking God, I'll ban you in the comments section. We have our legendary shoulders, we have a legendary ring. It looks great and glorious, and we also even have a trinket, Night Bloom Frond, which is perfect for the whole recursive strikes, auto attack damage. We have the Convergence of Fate, which is one of the better trinkets currently available, and we have fairly decent setup with a fair amount of points put into the weapon. Because we no longer have the bracers, we're going to swap from Quick Draw into Ghostly Strike. So then most of our damage can come from Saber Slashes. I feel like Sword Mastery might also work out as well, but we'll get a hell of a lot more out of Ghostly Strike since we can spam a lot more Saber Slashes thanks to Vigor, and we'll be able to overall, I feel like, deal more damage. We'll also go Cheat Death because that is a PvE playstyle. We'll also go for maybe Acrobatic Strikes because we're looking at a PvE section of this, so we can reach a lot more targets. Of course, Alacrity is the way to go. Dirty Tricks because everything else kind of sucks. And to finish it off is Slice and Dice. Now, there's a lot to test here, so I am going to queue for Raid Finder into Gates of Hell. I'm probably going to do one of the lower end Trial of Valor, Emerald Nightmare, one of the LFRs there, just to see our damage within single target and AoE situations. And we got ourselves into an LFR. Now I know LFR isn't super amazing in terms of the mechanics and the quality, the caliber of players, but at least it'll give us a little bit of an idea how do we compete with some of the other players, because in LFR regularly you'll have players that are well geared, that will run the LFR to see if they can get parts of the tier pieces and other benefits, and I feel like this will be a good way of figuring out exactly where do we stand against other classes that are playing their original builds where we're trying something more experimental. Uh-oh, well, it seems like we just pulled the boss very, very quickly without really, whoever did that, I'm not sure who, and the boss will not reset. Okay, well, I think now is the time for us to, really just start giving this a good old-fashioned try. We're just gonna try to deal as much damage to this guy as we can, and, kind of hope for the best here. I didn't expect for anybody to actually pull as early as they did, so that's kind of a bummer for me, but it's alright. We're just going to adjust to the situation at hand as best we can, and the numbers for DPS are not going to be as amazing as I would want them to be, because we don't really get that full reset value, but it's alright. We'll do what we can, and we'll see how it turns out in the end. Well, one of the things that we can see is the fact that there is a secondary mob, so a lot of classes can take the advantage of this and cleave if possible, or multi-dot. So I think that's something definitely to consider when viewing this video, at least for this fight in particular. Alright, well that was fairly simple, fairly easy, and well done. Now the question is, how do we look? On the charts we're definitely at the very tippy top, which is awesome, but the charts are, of course, going to be a little bit skewed because we were in mid-pulling of the ads. We had a second ad that we were on when the boss fight started, so everyone's overall DPS is going to be a lot lower because it took us a while to switch to the actual boss. But it is good to see that we're the, I guess, the winning party in the DPS race in the match field. And I guess we'll just take a look at this fight where it turns from cleave into single target, and then for, of course, last fight, which is mostly all AoE. One thing I noticed just now is as soon as I forgot to keep reapplying my saber slash, slice and dice, as soon as I missed it just by a little bit, my DPS actually had a pretty severe drop off. It seems that when you're bursting with slice and dice, you are increasing your DPS by a ton, at least in the meters, and then you're trying to maintain it as best you can. As soon as slice and dice falls off, that number starts plummeting fairly quickly, and even whenever I'm trying to switch targets, it just seems to just go to shit. And when I'm starting to use cleave, it just makes the whole legendary ring not as viable. So this might be a viable option for maybe some single target capabilities, but I'm not sure how it's gonna go for AoE and cleave. We're still gonna give it a good old shot to see exactly where it's at when it comes to other builds and other legendaries. Somebody who does a heavy bit of gaming on a regular, I'm actually developing carpal tunnel from how many saber slashes I can spam out. I don't even... This is interesting, but my DPS is going up slightly, and I am starting to get a whole track of, you know, maintaining slice and dice and keeping it on target while trying to, you know, come up with a commentary here. Because God forbid, is my mind just focused on the fight, my positioning. I can only imagine how hard this will be in heroic while trying to commentate this. Okay, and people got a few legendaries. Congrats on their Legos. Alright, after that fight, I can just give my hand a little bit of a rest. I didn't think I would be spamming as much as I did in this fight, and just overall with this build. You actually have a lot more energy that you normally would, but your DPS difference is... I mean, it's alright. I basically have 1 million damage using slice and dice, and I'm doing fairly good, with fairly decent stats, and not the best, relics either. I have one for Cloak of Shadows, but let's just not worry about that one. Alright, now time for a heavy cleave AoE fight, and I think what I will do is I kind of want to save my AoE until the mobs come in to really see the potential of all the auto attacks. So I think I'll just have a normal opener, and I might establish the slice and dice, maybe with a adrenaline rush. I just try to go really tame, but as soon as the AoE ads come in, Actually, no, I think I'll start the full with massive single target damage on the boss, and then I'll do the AoE. Alrighty, what do we get? Yeah, we get pants. Hey, they said 900 though. Oh, these are actually really good. I got tier pants, then a 900, and those are so worth using. Except now, yeah, I feel like I need to at least get my 2-piece bonus before I replace the one that I have, because the current one isn't really all that terrible either. Well, that was definitely an interesting experience. The cleave mechanics worked out fairly well. Again, we're not going against a really high caliber of players. This is LFR, so you should understand that, hey, not everybody here is gonna be as amazing as your boy Dyalla. Okay, just I'm gonna leave that joke out of this. So now this is the part of the video where we get to actually break down how my experience was trying to have Slice and Dice with the new legendary add-in 725, and telling you guys exactly if this works and how I feel about this, if this is a good idea, and if someone was trying. If you're somebody who wants to play Slice and Dice, I believe this legendary allows you to make Slice and Dice viable. It isn't perfect, but if you really wanted to make Slice and Dice work in one way or another, this is one of the many legendaries that helps you do that. And I believe that there are a few different combinations that allow you to make Slice and Dice fairly useful. Now, to share a little bit of my experience, I definitely got carpal tunnel playing this. I had so much energy, so many abilities I spammed out, and it's been a while since I played a rogue class, or hell, a class in World of Warcraft where I just spammed as much as I did for the whole fight. Usually I have more of a pace, my abilities don't come off cooldown or don't come off of energy cap as often, and I deal fairly good damage, but here I'm just spamming it out, and if I weren't, then I'd definitely be in a lower end numbers. And even as I'm spamming, my energy was so high, and that's not a good sign. Usually when you have a bunch of energy that you just cannot spend, that's a lot of lost potential. That's a lot of energy that could have been damage abilities, which makes me feel that the Slice and Dice build might be even holding you back because it just gives you too much energy, not enough to spend it. Maybe it's this legendary, maybe it's Slice and Dice, it's really difficult to tell. I felt like this was decent damage, and I felt it was pretty competitive to roll the bones, in my opinion. I was actually surprised by the damage I got. I mean, I feel like in a single target fight, you definitely get this playstyle where you can really stay ahead and really do some competitive. In an AoE playstyle, however, I was more surprised by the fact of just how much damage you can deal just because there are targets around. I feel like if it's a cleave fight with 2 targets, then your damage is definitely going to have a drop off. Around 3, it's going to get a pickup, and anything bigger than 3 is definitely going to be an increase, whether you have cooldowns or not, and cooldowns will definitely just let you get that much further ahead. I felt that the playstyle was more of a race ahead, get there as fast as you can in terms of damage, and then stay ahead. But if you lose your buffs, if you trip up, if you misuse an ability, your damage drops off, and it's really difficult to pick it up. Because of this playstyle, you don't have the cooldown reduction mechanic to get your cooldowns back with your artifact weapon and vanish and adrenaline rush to pick yourself back up with the right buff combination. So here you kind of gotta get ahead as soon as you can and then stay ahead for as long as possible, which is difficult if it's a mobile heavy fight or mechanics prevent you from hitting the boss. Compared to Roll the Bones, I felt that Roll the Bones playstyle was slower but dealt more damage, while this was more spammy to maintain the damage and kind of try to stay ahead. Roll the Bones felt smooth, especially after playing for so long. It's like a wave. You have highs where you deal a lot of damage and lows, but it's very forgivable. While Slice and Dice doesn't really forgive you. You have to stay ahead, you just have to stay on your game. You have to be prepared, you have to know what you're doing. And Slice and Dice definitely is a legendary and gear-based playstyle. You have to have the proper trinkets, you have to be geared. If you're somebody who, let's say, has like 850 item level, you're definitely not going to achieve the kind of damage I'm achieving right now. And I would say with Slice and Dice, maybe a haste-based build would be a little bit better. Actually, no, scratch that. Versatility all the way, because you have just so much energy, you wouldn't even need it. So you would have to be geared, you would have to have proper legendaries, you would need to have the ring, you would need to have the shoulders, because that's what allows you to get so much damage ahead of time and stay ahead. So with this presented in the video, with the numbers shown and my experience shared, do you guys think this is a viable option? Would you rather prefer this kind of playstyle and this kind of damage, more spammy, but more slice and dice centric, very predictable playstyle, more about trying to get ahead as far as you can and then staying ahead there as long as possible? Or have you warmed out by this point to the roll the bones playstyle? I know it's fairly RNG related even to this day, and I do understand that a lot of people have trouble figuring out which buffs are good, which ones to keep, which ones to get rid of. But if you guys want me to make a video on PvE for Outlaw Rogues in 7.2.5, then definitely give me a comment letting me know to do that, and I definitely will, if you guys are still struggling on that end. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys really soon.